Time is just gone 8:39 as we continue with the broadcast this morning. And again, focusing on the enduring shadow of violence in our society. And we've heard about this horrific incident that had taken place. Two women doused with petrol, they were set alight, and both and the second woman we've learned has passed on as well. And while the man accused of setting these two women still remains hospitalized. And we are now going across to be joined by Dr. Shaheda Umar, clinical director at the Teddy Bear Foundation. Dr. Shaheda, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
شكرا جزيلا وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Well, Dr. Shaida, this horrific story really, again, just tells us about the violence, the level of violence, and the perpetrators, the length at which they would go to. And yeah, we've heard about the second woman passing on as well. And clearly, again, when one looks at the manner in which it was done and just the incident in itself speaks volumes as to, again, just the level of violence, and particularly the violence against women that is being perpetrated in this country.
So I think you've identified it as something horrific, horrendous, it's a heinous, unlawful, it's unacceptable. And how many more women have to be subjected to this extent of being violated? This scourge of violence, as you can see, has escalated, and the incidents, I mean, if you look at the statistics, we hear that every 8 hours a woman is murdered. And those are the statistics that are reported to the authorities. There are many cases and incidences that are not brought to the attention of the authorities. So if we look at the extent of how women are subjected to trauma and to the violation, and after reporting cases of domestic violence, intimate partner violence, even the responses that are elicited as a result of that, we find that women are subjected to further victimization by the very systems that are supposed to protect them. So there's something very wrong here, something that is definitely not helping our women and girls, actually harming them. And if we understand the laws, yes, I'm at a justice conference, and we were discussing that the perpetrators have a lot of rights. A lot of them are, when they get reported, maybe a case is opened, it goes to trial, or sometimes they get arrested and then released on bail, or sometimes the case is dismissed because there isn't sufficient evidence. And so I think if we just look at all these contributory factors, the risk factors that actually feed into the perpetual cycle of violence against women. So yesterday at the Justice Conference, the issues that were raised is that we actually need to look at what is happening globally. We know this is a global pandemic of gender-based violence. But if we look at countries where people actually feel safe to walk, where women and girls are actually safe, so the 25 countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and other countries where it's about the punishment, the laws that are enforced, and the kind of punishment that is inflicted which deters potential perpetrators. And I think this is something that we need to revisit, revise, because as we speak, if we look at the case of Oscar Pistorius, so now Oscar Pistorius committed a murder, served his sentence, good behavior, is out on parole. So how has he served justice? A person has lost their life. I think we need to look at this from a systemic angle to see how can we prevent this, because it's been continuing for years and years, and the toxic masculinity that we are surrounded by seems to be normalized. The extent of this dousing these women and then burning them alive shows that premeditation, the intention was to grievous bodily harm. So the intention and the act certainly confirms that we are surrounded by violence, and violence begets violence. The whole culture that we are surrounded and that we live by seems to normalized? And what kind of message are we giving to our communities, to our families, to our children who are future adults of tomorrow? So you will see an intergenerational pattern of violence.
Well, certainly, Dr. Shaida, and also I think in this particular case, we've already heard what neighbors had actually seen, what they had experienced, and it's horrific in every sense of the word. One of the women we know, do you fight? Do you flee? All those things falling down the stairs, and people just helpless in watching this woman. And again, the point that you make is. In terms of the laws. And I'm glad you cited the case of Oscar Pistorius as well. And again, in many instances, what we are seeing is, even from a legal perspective, we know what is going to happen with the perpetrator. He's going to go, there's going to be psychological evaluation. But to all intents and purposes, we know that, this was obviously pre planned. I mean, nobody just walks in and burns somebody. You've got to work it in your mind. You've got the petrol in your hand. You know exactly what you are actually going to do, and it's not only the person that he wanted to obviously harm, but here you had a second person, a friend of his, who was visiting as well.
Indeed. So as I said, I think we need to look at the intention, and what you highlighted is it's not a random act. It was orchestrated, it was planned, it was thought out, and then executed with the intention to harm. And this is what we need to consider, and not go through the same process of where people get arrested, big trial, they serve their sentence, and on good behavior are released, because that is not helping our society. It's actually perpetuating this continued cycle of violence. And until some strong actions are, taken, and we institute more stringent law enforcement, we could certainly be more, I would say, feel safer, and that we could reduce the incidence of violence against women and girls.
Dr. Shaida, just looking at society, and now that we've seen this horrific incident once again rear its ugly head within our society, how should society be reacting? And I'm sure, with the Teddy Bear Foundation, and I'm sure there are many, many other organizations who show deep concern about the high levels of gender based violence that is taking place in the country. They will be making a statement, but are we making the right noises?
I think the noises have been made. If we look at the first summit that was hosted in 2018, and then the second summit that was hosted last year, November, we need to be aware of the fact that, the president acknowledged gender-based violence to be a pandemic, a national pandemic, and the national strategic plan for gender-based violence emerged from that. So the right noises are made. In theory, we have the best policies, the best regulations. I think it's in the implementation that we are struggling and that we are lagging behind. But as a society, we need to stand together and stand together that abuse no more. Enough is enough. And that's the kind of message. But we also need to look at that protection of women is not my business, it's not your business, it's our business. So it needs to be a collective action, collective effort, and an intersectoral response where the multifaceted, multidimensional approach of all departments, government departments, civil society, faith-based organizations, and community-based organizations stepping in together and making sure that they are heard. Because the more we stand together, the more united we are, the stronger our voices are going to be.
Well, Jazakallah for that, Dr. Shaida Umar. Shukran for your time, and we certainly will follow developments. But for now, we appreciate you taking time out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Dr. Shaheda Omar, Clinical Director at the Teddy Bear Foundation, with us this morning. With that, we're going for a break. We come back, we'll be joined by Elek Inchabeleng, Select Committee Chairperson at the National Council of Provinces. We're talking about Bella Bill and also the hearings or the submissions that are taking place with regards to this bill.
Rejuvenating media